Okay, good afternoon. It's Michele Donahue and I am with Artworks Resin Canada. I am trying another video. I blew my last one, so I'm going to try this one again so I can get a video online about creating these resin sculpture type bowls that people are enjoying making. They're quite fun. My very first one was massive. It was a 24, almost 2 feet wide, 24 inch. I did it with purple and some amethyst gemstones. I have a few things I need to fix on it, but I'll post it again once it's completely finished. The one I'm going to do today is going to be a small one. I tend to work a lot larger, but I thought maybe for videoing it might be better to do a small one for time purposes. I like to keep the videos shorter. So one thing I want to mention is you should always wear nitrile gloves when you are working with any epoxy resin. You don't want to get it on your hands. And if you do, wipe it off with gentle cleaners. There are epoxy scrubs you can use, and there are also sometimes baby wipes work, or the Kirkland makeup wipes. There's a few different things you can use to get it off. Just make sure you use something gentle and not alcohol. So the resin bowls that you've kind of seen, or some of you may have seen, you mix your resin, which I've done. You put it on some plastic. The ones I did previously, I used a thicker plastic that I bought at Home Depot. Today I'm going to try something new to me. Some people use Saran Wrap. Some people have loved it. Some have hated it. So I'm going to experiment, and I'm going to see how this Kirkland from Costco food wrap, which is basically just like a Saran Wrap. I'm going to see how that one works. And I drew using a Sharpie marker on this plastic. This is another reason I'm going small, because I'm using this. If I was to do 2 sheets wide, I would worry about the resin seeping underneath. So for when I go bigger, I do need the bigger plastic. Some people have also mentioned using a shower curtain from the dollar store and just cutting it. I haven't tried that yet. I'll try to get the information for the other plastic that I used on the bigger pieces and post that as well. But for now, I'm going to experiment with this food wrap that's like Saran Wrap. So I drew a marker rough outline. I decided not to do this one in a full circle. And if you want to, you can get anything round and draw around it to get your rough outline. Then flip your plastic over. If you don't flip it over, this marker line will transfer onto your resin piece. Ask me how I know. I learned the hard way. So this one has been flipped over already, and I'm ready to start just playing a bit. So I'm going to use this glass from, I bought this at Michael's craft store. It's just ashland decorative, it's called decorative filler. It's just fresh glass. So I put some in this cup already. My resin I mixed already for 4 minutes. So the resin I'm using is Artworks Resin. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, and I fell in love with it about 3 years ago after trying about 8 to 9 different resins. And there's so many great ones, but this one just really works for the type of work I like to do. So I've got some mixed resin. I'm going to just mix in here with the glass a little bit. And I don't want to leave resin sitting in the cup, big mixed amounts. So I'm actually going to put some in the colors that I want to use in a smaller cup. It's never a good idea to leave your resin sitting in your mix cup for very long, because it can go into premature exotherm from sitting there. I probably made way too much resin for this little tiny space, but I can always pour some of my leftover into molds. I also have a few other pieces sometimes going that I can pour the leftover resin into. I'm using this Max White Sparkle. I decided to use some transparent tints on this one, but the Max White Sparkle from Colour Passion, it's just gorgeous. I'm going to put the glass around here. then the Max White Sparkle right along the edge of the glass around here. And then I thought I would do some of the Colour Passion Transparent Tints in kind of ocean colors here. So I haven't used all of these three before, but I will do the cobalt blue in the middle, and then the bluebird around that, and then the ocean around that. I really don't need very much because it's such a small space. I'm going to use the least amount of the darker blue, the bluebird, and then probably most of the lighter color, the ocean, is the one I really wanted to use the most of. And maybe a bit more of that. So I've broken up the resin a little bit now, so it shouldn't be an issue with a large volume sitting in the mix cup. If it starts to get warm, I'll quickly pour it out onto either a base piece that I can use for a piece of art, or I'll pour it into some molds that I have for use another time. So this is the ocean. That one's a bit mucked up, but I'm just going to put, I don't know if you can see that, try one drop first. I don't want this part to be very dark. I want it to be pretty light. So that's all I'm going to put in that one, the ocean. So that was one drop, because that's going to be the edge. So that's the Colour Passion Ocean Transparent Tint. It's just called resin tint, but it's quite transparent. So that's that one. And then the bluebird is kind of a medium blue. Again, I don't know if you can see that. Bring it back over here. Don't want much. Oops, two went in. That's all right. We'll see how that goes. If it's dark enough, then I probably won't use the next color. I might just do the two, but we'll see. Nope, it should be okay. So that's the bluebird. And then the next one I'm going to use is the cobalt blue. And this one I want darker. I think I got about 3 or 4 drops in there. And it's still transparent, but it's a bit darker. All right. So I have my 3 blues, my Max White Sparkle mixed for this piece, and then I'm going to take, right off my hands here. So I've mixed some of that crushed glass with the resin. Not the easiest to work with. You could take a spoon, I guess, and take it out. I'm just going to take it out with this stick I used to stir it with. And I'm just going to use the marker line, kind of, and you can move this around. It doesn't have to stay right where you put it. If it goes out of space, out of the area you want, just push it back. I'm just going to not be too worried about exactly where everything goes just yet with this. I just want to spread it around first. If I need to mix more, I still have some more resin in my cup, and I have some more glass I can use. See how far this goes. Spread it around a little bit here. I just love working with crushed glass and gemstones. I often put gemstones in my pieces, the genuine semi-precious stones, the tumbled kind. I decided not to do that this time because I'm still a little hurt about the one I wrecked and I had to throw out. Well, I haven't thrown it out yet, but I'm going to. I did a bowl with some gemstones in it, and That was the one I didn't flip my piece over and I got my marker on it. So then I tried to fix it with another layer and then it was too thick to bend and just a bit of a disaster. I broke it. I may try to mend it. Another resin peer suggested I try turning it into a sculpture, but I'm just afraid to waste a lot more on that particular project. So we'll see. I'll put it aside. Sometimes when I'm not happy with something, I'll put it aside until I think it through, and then I can try it again or dispose of it at that time if I don't think it'll work again. So now I've got most of it on. I'll just go around and try to fill the spaces that don't have glass right at the moment, or areas that need thickening. I can move it around again after as well. Just kind of want to get it out of the cup first. One thing I noticed with the Saran Wrap that I didn't have to deal with the thicker plastic is this really moves around when you're trying to move the glass on it, which I guess isn't a big deal. Just push that over there. Now, get rid of that one. So yes, I think I do prefer already the thicker plastic for playing with, but for draping, this thinner plastic might give us some nicer draping, which I suspect, and I'll figure that out when it comes time to draping. I leave the resin sit for about 4 hours before I come back to it and try to drape it over whatever shape I decide to do. The biggest one I did was a platter. I did it over a platter. I didn't want it to be a bowl shaped. I wanted it to be more platter shaped. So I used a great big platter with that 2 foot, almost 2 foot piece. And I really quite liked how it turned out. I made a few errors because it was my first one, but that's all right. So the glass is pretty well spread out. This is free form, so it doesn't have to be absolutely 100%. I'll wipe my hands, and then I'm going to just put a little bit of each color in first so that I know how much I have and how much more I might need. So I'm going to put that the Max White Sparkle right at the glass edge. It will go down a little bit and spread a bit, but I'm going to add the Colour Passion Ocean tint now. I just want to make sure it's stirred really well. Sometimes you get those little bits, and I don't want those in this piece because it's transparent, especially this section. So I'm going to just squeeze the cup, make a little spout, and I'm going to pour just a little bit further away now from where I had the Max White Sparkle. Just one thin line. I'll come back and add more later. And this is the Cobalt Blue that I added a bit extra of. I just am going to put some in the middle. And then this is the Bluebird that I did 2 drops of. And like I say, I wanted most of this lighter color around. Do a bit more of that, just to give it a slight bit of a two-tone in here. I'll add this color, and then the darker color of Cobalt, a little line around there. That's the Bluebird. of this lighter blue, which is the one I wanted most of. If I need more, I have more in my cup. I can always add another drop. But I wanted to keep this one fairly translucent, so got that. And then I still have some of the Max White Sparkle. Just gonna check here. It's quite sparkly. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm going to add that now around here again. That should push some of the blue in a little bit. You can see what happens with the plastic. The wrinkles kind of come through in the colors, which was something that with the bigger piece was really hard to maneuver as well, or the thicker I should say. So the other thing you have to be careful of with these is you don't want to torch because that's so thin. You've got to be very careful with the heat. So I'll probably just use a barbecue lighter. I'm just going to add a little bit of clear now here around. Again, I wanted this quite transparent, so, and then I'm just going to take a stick. Hopefully that plastic doesn't move too much on me. Got quite the eye going there. Remember, this is going to be folded over a piece, so you're not going to see that. Just going to pull some of that darker out. There. There's lots of designs you can do. While it's flat, you can pour little puddles and then pull it out to give you a bit of a design and then push it in other areas. I'll do another video to show that, but that's kind of a fun design to do on these as well. Just want to spread that out a bit more. There's that medium blue. Just want a bit more of that right here. There's not much in there. Okay, now so I think maybe one of the reasons some people might not have liked the Saran Wrap, if they found it really hard to get off, they may have torched or used a heat gun on that, and that may have fused the plastic to the resin. So that's why I'm not going to use a torch, because I don't want to take the chance. This is so thin. I find on molds, when I'm putting resin in molds as well, I find using a heat gun or a torch can cause it to get overheat and fuse to your mold. So the barbecue lighter, they don't throw as pointy of a flame as some of the other things. Like I've got a very little flame there, and I just am just going to kind of put it over very carefully. I'm going to probably wait a few more minutes and do this with a bit different one. I have to get another one there. But anyways, I'm going to let it sit for a bit. I'm not going to make you wait. I'll come back in 4 hours and I'll pick it up and I'll drape it over a bowl. But I just wanted to show you, this might be the one I'll use, the jar. If I need to, I can set it on top of another piece like that, so that the edges don't sit on the surface, because you want them draping. Sometimes people will use a really long jar like this, so you can drape it over that. Because this is such a small piece, I need a little smaller jar. I want to do another one where I drape a really long one over this piece. I might set this over top of this to get a wider base, so I could maybe put a plant pot inside of it. But I just wanted to show you a few options. You can really play with them. You can use a plant pot as well with the plastic on it. Another one, this one might be a good one for this one, is to drape it over an oblong shape. So you've got, you know, lots of different shapes you can make with it. But I'm going to turn this off now. I'll come back. I'm going to let the bubbles kind of settle on their own for a bit, and then I'll probably just use a very gentle heat. I need to get a different barbecue lighter. And then I'll come back in 4 hours and I'll show you what I do next. See you in a bit. Bye. Hi, it's about 4 hours roughly later since I poured this. I'm having a tough time deciding what shape I want to drape it over. This one would probably suit the size more, but I really wanted this to have asymmetrical, I don't want it to be even all the way around. So I think I'm going to use a small jar instead. So carefully, I need to lift it up, and I think I'll use this jar. And just to allow me to have a little more space to drape, I will put it over top of this one so that I can play with the draping a little bit more. Otherwise it'll go flat onto that surface. And it's still quite tacky after 4 hours. So you've got to be careful. Jar's gonna fall on me, maybe. I'm just trying to be careful with this. Don't want it to be super sharp there, so push it in a little bit. This is where it actually might be helpful to have a little bit wider base, just to show you, because there's a few ways you can do this. The wider base allows you to make it spread out a little bit more, which if I put it on here, then I could use cups underneath to spread it out even wider. There's a few ways to play with it. I can show that another time, but for now, this is kind of the style I was hoping to do. Just going to play with it a little bit more, a few more wrinkles in there. This one is going to need a little bit of playing. There, I think. It's a bit too pointy there. Those are sticking. I don't know. I have to experiment some more, but I'm not sure if it's the type of colorant I used that is making it a bit different, or if I came down sooner than I thought I did. But I kind of like how it's longer here. That's what I wanted. I do want it to go long like that. I just need to separate that a bit. So I might have to put that on the counter maybe. We'll see. Pull that out. Yeah, I think I'm going to actually take that off that great big piece. If I can't get the shape I'm looking for, then I'll put it right on the counter. It's okay if it goes out a bit. They're all going to be a little bit different. There. I Actually, I can see this from the top a bit better down here too. I think I will leave it just like this for now. And leave it overnight, and tomorrow I will come back and take the plastic off. And hopefully it turns out all right. See you shortly.